My beloved child, listen to me beneath the noise, beneath the many thoughts that have been circling around your mind, beneath the questions you have tried to silence, beneath the feeling you could not fully explain. The disturbance in your peace is not random. That inward trembling, that sudden heaviness, that strange loss of rest when you think about a certain thing, a certain person, a certain agreement, a certain direction, has not escaped my sight. I am not asking you to panic. I am not calling you into fear. I am calling you closer, because sometimes, when peace leaves, it is not because you are weak. Sometimes peace steps back like a watchman at the gate, making noise in the silence, so you will notice what has been trying to enter without permission. Pay attention, my child, when something keeps stealing your rest. Pay attention when your thoughts become crowded and obsessive, when your heart cannot settle, when your spirit feels watched, rushed, accused, pressured, or pulled away from prayer. Pay attention when you feel driven but not led, moved but not settled, stirred but not strengthened. For I do not lead my children by torment. I do not guide you by confusion. I do not press you into decisions with accusation wrapped around your chest. My voice may correct you, but it will not crush you. My spirit may warn you, but it will not make you a prisoner of dread. Therefore, when something keeps demanding your attention while draining your peace, do not ignore the footstep. Beloved, I have placed peace as a guard at the gate of your heart. Peace is not a decoration for easy seasons. Peace is a witness. Peace is a protector. Peace is one of the holy ways I teach you to discern what belongs near you and what must remain outside. As it is written, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:7. Do you hear this, my child? My peace does not only comfort you, it guards you. It stands watch over the inner places where fear tries to enter, where false urgency tries to speak, where hidden interference tries to make itself feel normal. I am exposing what has been interfering with your peace, not to wound you, but to free you. I am allowing the disturbance to become noticeable, because what once hid quietly in the background can no longer remain hidden. There are weights you carried and called responsibility. There are pressures you endured and called obedience. There are attachments you defended because you loved deeply, yet they kept pulling your soul into unrest. I do not condemn you for caring. I do not blame you for hoping. I do not call your tenderness foolishness. A heart that knows how to love is not weakness. But beloved, a precious garden must have a holy fence. Your tenderness is a gift, but it was never meant to be left unguarded. Your compassion is beautiful, but it must not become an open door for confusion. Your loyalty is precious, but it must be submitted to my wisdom. For not everything that asks for access is assigned by me. Not every voice that sounds urgent carries my authority. Not every burden that lands on your heart is yours to carry. So when peace withdraws its witness, do not rush to explain it away. Bring it to me. Let me show you what is beneath it. Let me uncover the root, the pressure, the hidden hand, the agreement, the fear, the pattern, the influence that has been troubling your inner life. And if this message is already touching the place where your peace has been disturbed, pause and like this video, subscribe for more spirit-led messages, and share it with someone who needs discernment without fear. For this is not a call to suspicion. This is a call to holy clarity. I am not teaching you to mistrust everyone. I am teaching you to trust my witness within you. I am teaching you to recognize when peace has stepped away from something, so your heart will stop calling interference normal. Stay near me, my beloved child. Do not ignore the footstep. The loss of peace is not always a failure in you. Sometimes it is my mercy alerting you that something must be exposed. Beloved, hear me carefully now. The interference was not stronger than me. It was only hidden. It did not overpower my hand. It did not escape my authority. It did not sit above my throne. It worked in the quiet places, in the repeated pressure, in the confusion you kept trying to explain, in the emotional heaviness that returned after moments of relief, in the false urgency that made you feel as though you had to answer quickly, decide quickly, fix everything quickly, respond before you could pray. It hid behind familiar patterns. It hid behind old fears. It hid behind the part of you that did not want to disappoint anyone. It hid behind compassion that was never meant to become captivity. You thought you were only tired. You thought you were only distracted. You thought perhaps your faith was weaker than before, because your heart felt unsettled and your mind kept circling the same thought again and again. You blamed yourself for not being able to rest. You wondered why prayer felt harder when that pressure came near, why your joy felt thinner, why your thoughts became crowded, why you could not breathe inwardly the way you once did. But my child, I saw what was feeding on your attention. I saw what kept pulling your eyes away from me. I saw what kept using fear as a hook, guilt as a rope, and urgency as a voice. Do not confuse my conviction with counterfeit disturbance. When I correct you, I bring light. When I correct you, I bring truth with hope inside it. When I place my finger on something that must change, I do not leave you spinning in shame. I lead you toward repentance, restoration, and peace. My correction may be firm, but it is clean. My conviction may pierce, but it heals what it touches. But counterfeit pressure accuses without guiding. It exhausts without producing fruit. It keeps your soul circling the same fear, returning to the same wound, rehearsing the same imagined outcome, until you feel trapped inside a storm that has no door. That is not my voice. For I have not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, and of love, and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. Therefore, anything that keeps stripping you of a sound mind, while pretending to be wisdom, must be brought into my light. Anything that keeps pressing you into panic while pretending to be responsibility, must be tested in my presence. Anything that keeps demanding agreement before peace has spoken is not to rule you. Slow down, my beloved child. You do not have to obey every pressure that rises inside you. You do not have to chase every suspicion. You do not have to interrogate every shadow. Return to me and let my peace reveal what pressure tried to disguise. Sometimes my exposure is not dramatic. Sometimes I uncover a thing by quietly removing your appetite for it. Something you once craved no longer satisfies you. Something that once pulled your emotions no longer holds the same power. A voice that once sounded comforting suddenly feels strange. A connection that once felt necessary begins to feel heavy. A door you kept trying to force remains delayed, not because I am withholding good from you, but because I am protecting you from what your emotions could not yet discern. Sometimes I expose by drying up an attachment. Sometimes I expose by delaying access. Sometimes I expose by letting your inner witness become uncomfortable in a place where you used to feel at home. Do not be afraid of that discomfort. I did not let your peace disappear to punish you. I allowed the disturbance to become noticeable so you would stop calling it normal. I allowed the heaviness to rise to the surface so you would stop burying it beneath excuses. I allowed the unease to interrupt you so you would come back to my presence and ask, Lord, what is this? For what was hidden cannot remain hidden under my light. What was covered cannot continue ruling you once I uncover its source. What was quietly shaping your choices cannot keep pretending to be harmless when my spirit begins to reveal its fruit. I am not only comforting you, beloved, I am uncovering. I am not only soothing the place that has been troubled, I am showing you what troubled it. I am not merely calming the water, I am revealing what was stirring beneath it. For there are pressures that look like duty but are rooted in fear. There are voices that sound like concern but carry control. There are invitations that appear harmless but pull you away from prayer, away from clarity, away from the quiet obedience that keeps you close to me. And there are emotional patterns that feel familiar not because they are from me, but because you have lived with them for so long that bondage began to feel like personality. But now I am teaching you the difference. I am teaching you to recognize the weight that comes from obedience and the heaviness that comes from interference. Obedience may cost your flesh, but it strengthens your spirit. Obedience may require surrender, but it deepens your peace. Interference drains you and gives you nothing holy in return. Interference makes you anxious, then calls the anxiety discernment. Interference makes you hurry, then calls the hurry wisdom. Interference makes you afraid to be still, because stillness would expose the voice behind the pressure. So come back to me. Sit with me before you respond. Pray before you agree. Wait before you open the gate again. Let peace stand watch. Let wisdom ask questions. Let truth examine what emotion first accepted. As it is written, the truth shall make you free. John 8:32. Not every hidden thing is exposed by noise. Some things are exposed when you become still enough to notice that my peace is no longer bearing witness. And once my light begins to shine on what has been disturbing you, It cannot rule you in darkness as it did before. What once felt normal can no longer remain hidden, because I am bringing you into holy clarity, guarded freedom, and a peace that will not be manipulated by pressure again. Beloved, now I want you to understand one of the clearest ways counterfeit pressure reveals itself. It tries to sound like urgency. It tries to make you feel that if you do not move right now, answer right now, agree right now, explain yourself right now, open the door right now, then something will be lost, someone will be angry, some opportunity will vanish, some accusation will become true. But my child, not every urgent feeling is divine instruction. Not every pressure that rises quickly came from my spirit. There is an urgency that comes with obedience, but it is clean. There is a prompting that comes from me, but it does not drag you away from prayer. It may awaken you, but it will not enslave you. It may challenge you, but it will not confuse your spirit until you cannot hear me. It may stretch your faith, but it will not make you spiritually frantic. Counterfeit urgency wants movement without discernment. It wants your mouth before your heart has prayed. It wants your agreement before wisdom has examined the fruit. It wants your attachment before truth has tested the source. It wants you to confuse pressure with purpose, anxiety with responsibility, and fear with obedience. Therefore, slow down when something demands your peace as the price of compliance. Slow down when something makes you feel that stillness is dangerous. Slow down when a voice says, "Do it now," but my peace is not standing with it. For what comes from me can survive prayer. What comes from me is not threatened by holy examination. What comes from me does not collapse because you waited long enough to ask counsel of the Lord. Look carefully, my beloved child, at the places where pressure has recently pressed itself against your life. Consider the messages that demanded instant access to your emotions, as though every notification had authority over your inner room. Consider the relationships that punished your boundaries, that called your silence rejection, that called your need for prayer delay, that called your obedience to me selfishness. Consider the obligations that made peace feel like disobedience, as though rest were rebellion and exhaustion were proof of love. Consider the voices that treated your stillness as laziness, your discernment as pride, your caution as fear, when in truth I was teaching you to keep your heart with diligence. I am not telling you to become hard. I am not teaching you to ignore every need or reject every call for help. I am teaching you to know the difference between love and manipulation, between assignment and emotional captivity, between compassion led by my spirit and pressure driven by fear. My love may move you toward sacrifice, but it will not erase the sound mind I gave you. My instruction may ask something costly of you, but it will not require you to abandon the peace that guards you in order to prove that you are faithful. Hear me clearly, my child. If it requires you to abandon peace in order to keep it, it is not from me in the way it claims to be. As it is written, I have not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, and of love, and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. So ask yourself, beloved, what spirit is moving through this pressure? Does it produce power, or does it make you feel helpless? Does it produce love, or does it make you perform out of guilt? Does it produce a sound mind, or does it scatter your thoughts until you cannot pray clearly? My spirit does not lead you into panic and then call that panic discernment. My spirit does not make you afraid of silence. My spirit does not require you to be ruled by someone else's emotional storm in order to prove that your heart is good. And remember also what is written. The wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits. James 3:17. Do you see the pattern, my child? My wisdom is pure. It does not need hidden motives. My wisdom is peaceable. It does not leave your spirit in violent unrest. My wisdom is gentle. It does not have to bruise your soul to make itself heard. My wisdom is willing to yield. It is not brittle, controlling, or terrified of being tested. My wisdom is full of mercy and good fruit. It does not merely impress you in the first moment. It continues to bear life after time has passed. Therefore, do not let counterfeit pressure borrow the language of obedience and use it against your peace. Do not let urgency sit on the throne where my voice belongs. Do not let fear dress itself as wisdom and command you to move before you have returned to me. When the pressure rises, come closer. When the demand feels sharp, breathe in my presence. When the voice says there is no time to pray, that is the very moment you must pray. When something says, answer now, let wisdom ask, what fruit has this produced before? When something says, you owe immediate access, let peace stand at the gate and ask, who sent you? My beloved child, the enemy of your peace often tries to rush you because he knows stillness will expose him. Hidden interference depends on haste. Confusion feeds on speed. Manipulation grows stronger when you are too tired to test it, too guilty to question it, too afraid to wait. But I am restoring you to the pace of the led, not the pace of the driven. I am teaching you to move when I breathe, to wait when I restrain, to answer from peace, to refuse from peace, to love from peace, and to walk in a sound mind. So let this become a holy test in your life. If urgency pulls you away from prayer, slow down. If pressure steals your peace and then demands your agreement, slow down. If a relationship cannot honor the boundary that protects your obedience to me, slow down. If an obligation makes you feel guilty for resting in my presence, slow down. I am not in every demand. I am not behind every open door. I am not speaking through every loud voice. And now, beloved, you must learn not only to test what you feel in the moment, but to examine what it produces over time. For a feeling can impress the heart quickly, but fruit will reveal the source. Beloved, look at the fruit, not only the feeling it first gave you. For there are things that enter your life clothed in comfort, yet over time they begin to drain the very peace they once seemed to bring. There are voices that first sound gentle, familiar, understanding, even necessary, but after a while your prayer becomes harder, your focus becomes scattered, your obedience becomes delayed, and your heart begins to carry a heaviness you keep trying to explain away. There are attachments that begin with excitement, relief, or emotional intensity, and because they made you feel seen for a moment, you assume they must have been sent by me. But my child, the beginning of a thing does not always reveal its source. Many things know how to impress the heart at the doorway. Fruit is revealed after time has passed. Therefore, do not judge only by the first feeling. Do not say, it made me feel alive once, so it must be life. Do not say, it comforted me in a lonely season, so it must be clean. Do not say, it felt familiar, so it must be a sign. Familiar is not always faithful. Intense is not always holy. Comforting is not always from me. Necessary is not always obedience. Sometimes interference enters through something your emotions were already hungry for, and because the entrance felt soothing, you did not see what was being planted beneath the surface. I do not condemn you for trusting what looked gentle. I do not shame you for opening your heart to what seemed kind. I know the places in you that were tired. I know the places in you that longed to be understood. I know the places in you that wanted relief. But now, I am teaching you to discern what remains after the emotion settles. As it is written, by their fruits you will know them. Matthew 7:20. Not merely by their words, not merely by their promises, not merely by the warmth of the first moment, not merely by the tears, the excitement, the sudden rush, the appearance of importance, or the way it seemed to answer something in you. By their fruits, you will know them. Fruit takes time. Fruit grows from a root. Fruit reveals what the seed has been carrying all along. A thing may flatter your emotions in the beginning and still produce confusion in the end. A voice may soothe your wound for an hour and still pull your spirit away from prayer for many days. A connection may feel powerful at first and still leave your heart more anxious, more hidden, more divided, and more afraid to obey me. So ask with honesty, beloved, does this draw you closer to me or farther from me? Does it make prayer easier or harder? Does it make your heart brighter or heavier? Does it lead you into truth, or does it keep you negotiating with confusion? Does it produce humility, purity, patience, and peace? Or does it produce secrecy, striving, defensiveness, and a constant need to make excuses? When you come away from it, are you more able to hear my voice, or do you feel clouded, rushed, unsettled, and spiritually dull? Does it strengthen your obedience, or does it make compromise feel reasonable? Does it honor the light, or does it ask you to keep certain corners of your heart unexamined? My child, unhealthy fruit does not always appear all at once. Sometimes it appears as repeated anxiety that you keep calling sensitivity. Sometimes it appears as secrecy that you keep calling privacy. Sometimes it appears as spiritual dullness that you keep calling tiredness. Sometimes it appears as a loss of focus, a drifting from the things I asked you to steward, a shrinking of your joy, a fear of setting boundaries, and a constant need to explain away what peace keeps warning about. If you must repeatedly silence the witness of peace in order to keep something close, then you must bring that thing before me. If you must keep defending the source while the fruit keeps troubling your spirit, then slow down. If you keep saying, "It is fine," while your heart grows heavier and your prayer grows colder, then listen to what the fruit is revealing. I am not asking you to become suspicious of every good thing. I am teaching you to become discerning with every influential thing. Whatever shapes your attention shapes your direction. Whatever gains repeated access to your inner life begins to speak into your decisions. Therefore, do not give authority to what only gave you a feeling. Let time testify. Let peace testify. Let fruit testify. What comes from me may challenge you, but it will not corrupt your spirit. What comes from me may stretch you, but it will not make you hide from truth. What comes from me may require surrender, but it will not lead you into bondage and call it love. Remember, beloved, my spirit produces fruit that carries my nature. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control are not decorations. They are evidence. They show what root is feeding the branch. If something keeps producing fear instead of love, agitation instead of peace, impulsiveness instead of self-control, confusion instead of clarity, then do not let the memory of the first feeling overrule the evidence of the fruit. You are not being cruel when you tell the truth about what something has produced. You are not being ungrateful when you admit that what once comforted you is now clouding you. You are not failing because you see more clearly now than you did before. That is growth. That is mercy. That is my light, giving you language for what your spirit has been sensing. So come near and let me separate the feeling from the fruit. Bring me the attachment, the agreement, the relationship, the pattern, the habit, the thought, the voice, the opportunity, and ask me to show you what it has been producing in your life. I will not answer you with accusation. I will answer you with light. I will show you whether it has been leading you into peace, clarity, obedience, freedom, and purity, or whether it has been quietly feeding anxiety, secrecy, spiritual dullness, distraction, and fear. And when the fruit is revealed, do not argue with the light. Do not mourn the exposure as though truth has harmed you. Truth has come to protect you. For a feeling can impress the heart for a moment, but fruit reveals the source over time. And once fruit has spoken clearly, the next act of obedience is not to become cold, bitter, guarded by fear, or closed to love. The next act of obedience is to guard your heart with wisdom, to place a holy fence around what I have entrusted to you, and to let peace stand at the gate without apology. Beloved, your tender heart needs a holy fence, not because your heart is bad, not because love has failed you, not because you must become suspicious, distant, or cold, but because what I have placed within you is precious, and precious things must be stewarded with wisdom. A guarded heart is not a closed heart. A guarded heart is a consecrated heart. It is a heart that says, "Lord, what you have entrusted to me will not be handed over to every voice, every pressure, every demand, every emotion, and every person who asks for access without honoring your peace." I am reframing boundaries for you, my child. Boundaries are not rejection when they are born from obedience. Boundaries are not hatred when they are established in wisdom. Boundaries are not pride when they protect what I have called you to steward. Love remains pure when access is governed by my spirit. Love becomes confused when access is governed by guilt. Love remains clean when it knows how to bless without surrendering the gate. Love remains strong when it can say yes from peace and no from peace. Therefore, do not let anyone teach you that love must always be immediately available, emotionally open, endlessly explainable, and easily controlled. That is not love. That is exhaustion wearing a holy name. As it is written, "Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life." Proverbs 4:23. Do you hear me, beloved? I did not say neglect your heart. I did not say leave it open to every passing voice. I did not say allow every influence to walk through the inner rooms where your faith, your hope, your tenderness, your calling, and your obedience are being formed. I said, keep your heart, guard it, watch over it, steward it diligently, not because you are afraid, but because life flows from that place. Your heart is not a hallway for every demand. Your heart is not a public road for every opinion. Your heart is a garden where life springs forth, and a precious garden must have a holy fence. Not everything that admires the garden should be allowed to walk through it. Not everything that praises your tenderness should be allowed to take from it. Not every person who enjoys your compassion should be permitted to drain it. Not every voice that says, "I need you," has been sent by me. Some will admire the fruit while trampling the roots. Some will praise your kindness while resisting your boundaries. Some will enjoy your availability, but become offended by your obedience. That is why I am teaching you who may enter, who should remain outside, who may come near for a season, and who must not have access to the deepest places of your heart. I know guilt has spoken loudly to you. I know there have been times when you needed space, and someone called you unkind. You needed time to pray, and someone called you distant. You needed silence, and someone called you selfish. You needed to stop explaining yourself, and someone made you feel cruel. But my beloved child, I do not call you to confuse availability with love. I do not call you to offer your inner life to every person who becomes uncomfortable when they cannot control your response. I do not call you to prove your goodness by abandoning the peace I placed inside you. If the only way someone accepts your love is by requiring you to ignore my warning, then they are not honoring the part of you that belongs first to me. Therefore, practice the holy fence without apology. Delay the response when your spirit is unsettled. Pray before agreement. Do not say yes merely because pressure has made silence feel dangerous. Refuse emotional manipulation when it tries to use fear, guilt, urgency, or accusation to move you away from my peace. Limit access to vulnerable places until fruit has been tested. Do not hand your wounds to voices that have not shown wisdom. Do not give your dreams to those who mock obedience. Do not keep explaining your peace to people committed to disturbing it. There comes a time when you must stop defending the fence and simply keep the gate. My child, I am not making you hard. I am making you whole. I am not teaching you suspicion. I am teaching you stewardship. I am not closing your heart. I am cleansing its access points. I am not removing love from you. I am purifying love so that it no longer bows to fear. You will still be tender, but your tenderness will have discernment. You will still be compassionate, but your compassion will be led by my Spirit. You will still forgive, but forgiveness will not mean giving repeated access to what refuses light. You will still bless, but blessing will not require bondage. You will still love, but love will no longer mean leaving the gate unguarded. There are some doors you must not reopen simply because someone knocks with familiar words. There are some conversations you must not enter simply because someone demands your explanation. There are some burdens you must not pick up simply because they were placed near your feet. Bring every demand to me. Bring every invitation to me. Bring every emotional pull to me. Ask me, Lord, is this mine to carry? Is this mine to answer? Is this mine to enter? Is this mine to release? And I will teach you. I will show you when to speak and when to be silent, when to open and when to wait, when to help and when to step back, when to remain tender and still refuse access. For the fence is not built to keep love from leaving. The fence is built to keep corruption from entering. The fence is not a wall of bitterness. It is a boundary of holiness. It says, "This heart belongs to God. This peace is under His protection. This life will not be ruled by counterfeit urgency, hidden pressure, or emotional trespass." And as you learn to guard what I have entrusted to you, you will begin to feel the difference between isolation and consecration. Isolation is fear hiding from life. Consecration is love submitted to me. Isolation says, no one can come near. Consecration says, only what God permits may enter. So stand in this wisdom, beloved. You are not wrong for needing prayer before agreement. You are not wrong for slowing down. You are not wrong for refusing to be rushed. You are not wrong for protecting the place where life flows. Keep your heart with diligence, not with panic, not with bitterness, not with suspicion, but with holy attentiveness. Let my peace be the guard at the gate. Let my word be the lamp at your feet. Let my Spirit teach you what may remain and what must be refused. And remember, my child, I have always trained my people this way. I have always taught them to test voices, invitations, alliances, open doors, and attachments before giving them access. I have always protected destiny through discernment. I have always warned my children not to judge only by appearance, not to move only by pressure, not to agree only because something seems beneficial in the moment. So now I will remind you of those who walked before you, those who had to learn the difference between my voice and another voice, between a true invitation and a dangerous agreement, between distraction and assignment, between attachment and obedience. Because what I am teaching you now is not new. It is the ancient wisdom of a guarded heart walking under my protection. Remember Samuel, my child. Remember the young servant lying in the house of the Lord, hearing a voice in the night, and not yet knowing how to recognize who was calling him. He heard, but he did not yet understand. He responded, but he ran first to the wrong place. He was near holy things. He was serving in a sacred environment. He was positioned close to the lamp of God, and still he needed to be trained in recognition. This is why I do not shame you when you are learning. This is why I do not condemn you, because you once answered a voice without knowing its source. Spiritual maturity is not pretending that every voice is obvious. Spiritual maturity is learning to pause, to listen, to return, and to say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant hears." Beloved, Samuel had to be taught that not every call should be answered the same way. He had to learn the difference between a familiar human direction and my divine summons. He had to be instructed into discernment. So when you feel a pull in your spirit, when you hear an inner prompting, when something calls your name through memory, emotion, desire, fear, or responsibility, do not assume that the loudest call is mine. Bring it before me. Let me teach your ear. Let me train your heart. Let me show you the difference between what merely calls for your attention and what carries my authority. As it is written, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. John saying, 27. But hearing my voice is a life of learning, beloved. It is not panic. It is not guessing. It is not being ruled by every sound that rises in the night. It is intimacy, trained by obedience. Remember Joshua also, my child. Remember when the Gibeonites came with worn-out sacks, old wineskins, patched sandals, and dry, moldy bread. They looked as though they had come from a far country. Their appearance told a story, and the story seemed reasonable. Their evidence looked convincing. Their request sounded strategic. But as it is written, the men of Israel took some of their provisions, but did not ask counsel of the Lord. Joshua 9:14. Do you see the warning, beloved? They examined what could be seen, but they did not ask me about what was hidden. They judged the agreement by appearance, by presentation, by the urgency and plausibility of what stood before them, but they did not bring the matter into my counsel. This is why I am teaching you not to make agreements only because something looks harmless. Interference rarely announces itself as danger. It often arrives dressed as need, opportunity, kindness, timing, flattery, logic, or emotional appeal. It says, there is no reason to wait. It says, this is obvious. It says, you can decide from what you see. But my child, what you see is not always the whole truth. Some agreements carry consequences beyond the moment. Some yeses bind the heart before wisdom has spoken. Some alliances look practical while quietly pulling you away from obedience. Therefore, ask counsel of me. Ask before you attach. Ask before you promise. Ask before you open the gate. Ask before you join your future to what has not been tested in my presence. Remember Nehemiah, beloved. Remember the wall, the assignment, the burden I placed in his heart, the work that required focus, courage, and refusal. When Sanballat and Geshem sent to him saying, come, let us meet together, the invitation sounded like a meeting, but the purpose was harm. Distraction did not arrive wearing the face of distraction. It arrived as a reasonable invitation. It called him down from the wall. It wanted him away from the work. But Nehemiah answered with clarity, I am doing a great work, so that I cannot come down. Nehemiah 6:3. My child, there are moments when your obedience must become that clear. Not every invitation deserves your presence. Not every conversation deserves your energy. Not every accusation deserves your defense. Not every person who calls you down has been sent by me. There are distractions that will use importance to interrupt purpose. There are voices that will make you feel irresponsible for staying faithful to what I assigned you. There are demands that will try to pull you from the wall, from prayer, from healing, from discipline, from peace, from the quiet work I am doing in you. But I am teaching you to say, without guilt and without hatred, I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. You do not have to abandon your assignment to prove that you are humble. You do not have to leave the place of obedience every time distraction calls your name. And remember, Samson, my child, remember how strength can be real and discernment still be neglected. Remember how calling can rest on a life, and yet an unguarded attachment can become a doorway of repeated weakening. Delilah did not weaken Samson in one sudden moment only. She pressed him again and again. She asked, she tested, she watched, she persisted, and his heart kept moving closer to the place where his strength would be exposed to the wrong hands. This is a warning, not to condemn you, but to awaken you. Intimacy without discernment can become dangerous. Tenderness without truth can become costly. Attachment without obedience can open the door to what drains strength little by little. Beloved, some patterns have already shown you what they carry, but your heart kept hoping they would change without surrender, without repentance, without fruit. Some voices have pressed you repeatedly, and you kept calling it love. Some attachments have weakened your prayer, your confidence, your clarity, and your obedience, and you kept hoping the next moment would prove the pattern wrong. I know why you hoped. I know why you waited. I know why you wanted to believe the best. I do not despise your tenderness, but I am teaching your tenderness to stand under truth. If something keeps asking for access to the secret place of your strength while refusing the light of my spirit, do not call that love. If something keeps weakening what I have anointed, do not keep handing it the scissors and calling it trust. Do you see now, my beloved child, that Scripture is not standing over you with condemnation? Scripture is standing beside you with wisdom. Samuel teaches you to test voices. Joshua teaches you to seek counsel before agreements. Nehemiah teaches you to refuse distraction when obedience is on the wall. Samson teaches you that repeated weakening must not be ignored simply because attachment is present. These are not distant stories. They are patterns of protection. They show you that my people have always needed discernment, counsel, time, obedience, and guarded access. They show you that the heart must be trained, the eyes must be anointed, the ears must be tuned, and the gate must be kept. Therefore, do not call yourself foolish because you are learning. Do not call yourself faithless because you are testing. Do not call yourself harsh because you are asking counsel of the Lord. This is ancient wisdom. This is the way I have protected my children from the beginning. I expose what is hidden, so you can walk in the light. I disturb false peace, so true peace can return. I uncover the pressure, the agreement, the distraction, and the attachment, not to leave you wounded in the exposure, but to lead you into freedom through release. For exposure is not the end of the process, beloved. Once I reveal the interference, I also reveal what must be released. Do not call the exposure a loss, my beloved child. Do not quickly name the uncovering as rejection, punishment, failure, or abandonment. I know the first feeling may be grief when something hidden is finally brought into the light. I know it can ache when a person, a pattern, a habit, an expectation, or an emotional dependency is revealed for what it has been producing. I know there is a trembling that comes when the veil falls, because what you once explained away can no longer be explained the same way. But listen to me in the quiet place of your heart. What feels like loss may be my mercy, removing what was quietly interfering with your peace. There are things you would have kept carrying because you had become used to the weight. There are doors you would have kept reopening because familiarity made them feel safer than freedom. There are voices you would have kept defending because you did not want to admit how much they were draining you. There are attachments you would have kept calling necessary because you feared what the empty space would feel like if they were gone. But, my child, I did not expose them to embarrass you. I did not reveal the disturbance to shame you. I interrupted the interference because I love you too much to let hidden pressure become deeper bondage. When I prune, do not be quick to call it punishment. Pruning is not hatred toward the branch. Pruning is care for the fruit. I remove what is draining life from what must remain. I cut away what is stealing strength from what I am causing to grow. I separate what looks alive, but is no longer feeding your obedience, your clarity, your prayer, or your peace. Some things have remained close to you, but they were no longer producing life in you. Some patterns kept touching your emotions while weakening your spirit. Some dependencies kept promising comfort while quietly teaching you to live without rest. Therefore, when I put my hand upon what has been draining you, Trust the wisdom of the gardener. Beloved, some removals feel painful because chains can become familiar to the place they have held captive. A chain that has been there for a long time can feel like part of your life, part of your story, part of your identity, part of what you must always manage. But I am showing you that what has been familiar is not always assigned. What has stayed long is not always meant to remain. What has shaped your emotions is not always allowed to shape your future. I am not taking away your peace. I am removing what made peace feel impossible. I am not emptying you to abandon you. I am clearing the inner room so my voice can be heard again. Do not fear the empty space. Some departures are answers. Some closed doors are protection. Some silences are where I begin restoring your hearing. You have been afraid that if the pressure leaves, if the attachment loosens, if the expectation dies, if the habit is broken, if the conversation ends, if the door closes, you will be left with nothing. But my child, you will not be left with nothing. You will be left with me, and with the peace you could not fully receive while interference occupied the room. You will be left with breath again. You will be left with clarity again. You will be left with the ability to pray without negotiating with confusion. As it is written, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. John 8:32. Truth may pierce an illusion before it heals the heart. Truth may cause tears before it brings relief. Truth may expose what you were hoping would change without surrender. Truth may show you that something you called comfort was actually control, that something you called patience was actually fear, that something you called loyalty was actually bondage, that something you called love was actually dependence without peace. But truth does not come to destroy you. Truth comes to make you free. Therefore, do not defend what kept disturbing you simply because you are grieving its exposure. Do not chase what kept exhausting you simply because its absence feels unfamiliar. Do not reopen doors. I am closing simply because your emotions have not yet learned how to rest in the quiet. Do not keep arguing for the thing that kept stealing your prayer, weakening your discernment, and making you feel far from me. You are not required to prove that the interference was harmless after I have shown you its fruit. You are not required to keep explaining why your peace left. You are not required to remain loyal to what I have revealed as a thief of your rest. My beloved child, exposure does not mean you failed. It means I loved you enough to interrupt what you could not see clearly while you were standing inside it. It means I placed light where confusion had been hiding. It means I let peace withdraw its agreement so your heart would notice the trespass. It means I cared enough to disturb the false calm before it became a deeper captivity. Do not despise the mercy that arrives as clarity. Do not reject the answer because it first came with grief. Sometimes rescue begins with the pain of admitting the truth. Sometimes freedom begins with the holy sorrow of no longer lying to yourself. I know you may feel tender in the aftermath. I know you may ask why you did not see it sooner, why you trusted, why you waited, why you allowed access, why you ignored the warning, why you hoped against the pattern. But I am not asking you to punish yourself with questions I have already covered with grace. I am asking you to learn. I am asking you to listen. I am asking you to let the exposure become wisdom, not shame. You are not going backward because something is being removed. You are being made ready to move forward without the hidden weight. So release what I have revealed. Release the need to defend it. Release the fear of naming it. Release the habit of returning to what made you anxious. Release the agreement that says disturbance is normal and peace is impossible. Let the pruning do its complete work. Let the closed door remain closed. Let the silence become clean. Let the empty place become holy ground where I restore your hearing, your strength, your discernment, and your rest. For after the source is revealed, you must learn how to walk in peace. You must learn how to move without running back to pressure. You must learn how to choose without needing the old noise to confirm you. You must learn how to stand in the quiet and not call it loneliness. You must learn how to receive my peace as guidance, not merely as comfort. The exposure was not the end, beloved. The pruning was not the final word. I have uncovered what disturbed you so I can teach you how to walk free. And the peace that returns, beloved, will teach you how to walk. It will not always return first as a sudden wave of emotion, or as a loud celebration in your soul, or as a feeling so strong that every question disappears at once. Sometimes peace returns quietly. Sometimes it comes like breath becoming easier after you did not realize how long you had been holding it. Sometimes it comes as the strange absence of compulsion, the holy stillness where panic used to command you, the clearer prayer that rises without having to push through so much inner noise. Sometimes peace returns as the ability to sit in silence and no longer be afraid of what silence will reveal. Do not despise the small beginnings of restored peace. Do not say, "Nothing has changed," because the change first arrives gently. When your chest no longer tightens at the same thought, notice it. When you no longer feel forced to answer immediately, notice it. When the old pull comes, but it does not rule you with the same strength, notice it. When prayer becomes clearer, when worship becomes cleaner, when your mind can rest without rehearsing every possibility, when your spirit begins to hear me again beneath the noise that once surrounded you, recognize my hand. I am not only removing interference from you, I am retraining your steps. My child, freedom can feel unfamiliar after long confusion. Do not run back to what I exposed simply because the absence feels strange. Do not call the quiet empty when it is actually clean. Do not mistake the lack of pressure for lack of direction. For many times, when a soul has been ruled by urgency, peace first feels too still. When a heart has been trained by anxiety, rest can feel like danger. When you have been accustomed to proving, explaining, chasing, fixing, and answering, the holy pause can feel uncomfortable. But I am teaching you that you do not need pressure to be guided. You do not need fear to be faithful. You do not need confusion to feel connected. You can move from peace. As it is written, your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it," whenever you turn to the right hand or whenever you turn to the left. Isaiah 30:21. I am still the God who guides. I am still the Father who speaks. I am still the shepherd who leads beside still waters and restores the soul. My direction is not always loud, but it is faithful. My voice does not need to threaten you in order to lead you. My spirit does not need to hurry you into bondage in order to establish obedience. When I say, "This is the way, walk in it," I do not drive you like a slave. I lead you like a child who belongs to me. Therefore, learn the practice of guarded movement. Pause before agreement. Pray before surrendering your peace. Test the fruit before trusting the feeling. Wait for the witness of peace before you give deep access. Seek wise counsel when the matter is weighty, when your emotions are stirred, when your history is speaking loudly, when the decision could shape your obedience. Refuse to be rushed by pressure. Refuse the voice that says, "Decide now, answer now, explain now, return now, open now, agree now. What is from me can endure prayer. What is from me can stand in the light. What is from me does not fear wisdom, counsel, patience, or truth." Ask yourself, beloved, does this lead me closer to prayer or farther from it? Does this make my obedience clearer or more compromised? Does this produce peace after the emotion settles, or does it leave me restless, distracted, and inwardly divided? Does the fruit over time show purity, humility, patience, truth, and freedom? Or does it show fear, obsession, secrecy, confusion, and heaviness? I am not asking you to become suspicious of everything. I am teaching you to become discerning in everything. There is a difference between fear that distrusts and wisdom that tests. Fear closes the heart in panic. Wisdom guards the heart in peace. And understand this clearly, my child. Restored peace does not mean every situation becomes easy. It does not mean every answer comes immediately, every relationship becomes simple, every door opens without resistance, or every emotion becomes pleasant. Peace does not remove all responsibility from your life. Peace does not mean you will never need courage. Peace means your heart is no longer being ruled by the thing that disturbed it. Peace means pressure is no longer sitting on the throne. Peace means fear can speak, but it cannot command. Peace means an old attachment can knock, but it cannot own the gate. Peace means you can feel and still obey. You can grieve and still release. You can wait and still be secure. I am restoring you to guarded freedom, not careless freedom, not freedom without wisdom, not freedom that forgets what I have revealed. I am restoring you to the kind of freedom that can walk with open eyes, a tender heart, and a protected spirit. You will not need to keep checking the old door to see if bondage has become peace. You will not need to keep reopening what I closed to prove that you have forgiven. You will not need to keep returning to what drained you to prove that you are loving. You will walk forward with mercy, but also with truth. You will walk forward with compassion, but also with clarity. You will walk forward with humility, but also with a holy fence. So when peace returns, let it become your teacher. Let it slow your feet when pressure demands speed. Let it steady your voice when accusation demands panic. Let it remind you that my guidance is not confusion. Let it help you choose without the old noise. Let it show you where to step, where to wait, where to refuse, where to bless, where to close the gate, and where to continue in obedience. My peace is not merely a feeling that visits you. My peace is a guard, a witness, a ruler in your heart, a quiet strength that teaches you how to move without being ruled by what once disturbed you. Now, beloved, you are being invited to agree with what I have shown you, not only to understand it in your mind, not only to feel relief for a moment, but to speak agreement with my exposure and my protection. For when I uncover interference, I call you to renounce your agreement with it. When I restore peace, I call you to receive it as your portion. When I show you the gate, I call you to guard it with me. So prepare your heart now, my child. Let your mouth come into agreement with heaven. Let your spirit answer the truth. Let what I exposed lose its claim, and let the peace I restored take its rightful place within you. Now speak, beloved, not as one trying to convince yourself by noise, but as one coming into agreement with truth. Speak from the place where I have been dealing with you. Speak from the place where peace was disturbed, where pressure tried to rule, where confusion tried to sit in the seat that belongs only to my spirit. For there comes a moment when you must no longer only notice the interference, no longer only understand the pattern, no longer only feel the relief of exposure, but you must answer it with holy agreement. You must say with your life, with your heart, with your mouth, and with your obedience, I will not remain joined to what God has revealed. Say this before me, my child, I break agreement with confusion. I break agreement with false urgency. I break agreement with emotional manipulation, hidden pressure, anxious obligation, and every voice that pulled me away from the peace of God. I break agreement with the thought that I must move before I pray. I break agreement with the fear that I must explain myself to every demand. I break agreement with the pattern that made disturbance feel normal and peace feel impossible. I break agreement with every counterfeit burden that did not come from my Father, every attachment that weakened my obedience, every pressure that tried to make me choose from panic instead of peace. Beloved, let this declaration be personal, because this is not only about what happened around you, this is about who has authority within you. Say, my heart belongs to God. My peace is guarded by God. My steps are ordered by God. My future is not controlled by fear, by pressure, by manipulation, by old agreements, by hidden interference, or by voices that do not carry the life of my shepherd. I belong to the one who leads me beside still waters. I belong to the one who restores my soul. I belong to the one whose peace guards my heart and mind in Christ Jesus. As it is written, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:7. Do not speak these words as performance, my child. Speak them as surrender. Speak them as release. Speak them as the turning of your heart back toward my voice. You are not declaring because you are strong in yourself. You are declaring because I am strong in you. You are not renouncing interference because you have understood everything perfectly. You are renouncing it because you trust the light I have given you. You are saying, Father, I agree with what you have exposed. I receive what you are restoring. I will not keep protecting what kept disturbing my peace. And if this word has been speaking to the deep place in you, write this as your agreement. My peace is guarded, and God is exposing every interference. Let it be more than a comment. Let it be a marker. Let it be a witness that your heart is turning away from confusion and returning to guarded freedom. Write it with faith. Write it with humility. Write it as one who understands that peace is not fragile when it is guarded by me. Write it as one who is no longer ashamed that the disturbance was noticed, because the disturbance became the signal that led you back into discernment. And beloved, if you need prayer, do not carry the burden silently as though you must fight alone. Leave your prayer request, especially if you are asking me for discernment, for protection, for restored peace, or for courage to set holy boundaries without bitterness. Ask for prayer if you need strength to release what I have revealed. Ask for prayer if you are learning how to wait without panic. Ask for prayer if you are trying to hear my voice clearly after a season of pressure. There is no shame in needing agreement. There is no shame in asking for strength while you learn how to guard the gate. And share this message with someone whose peace has been under pressure, not to accuse them, not to frighten them, not to tell them what they must do, but because sometimes a timely word helps my child stop blaming themselves for what I am exposing. Sometimes one word of truth becomes the hand that pulls them out of confusion. Sometimes they do not need more pressure. They need permission to pause, to pray, to test the fruit, and to believe that the loss of peace may be a holy signal, not a personal failure. Now receive the outcome I desire for you, my beloved child. Clarity without fear, boundaries without bitterness, release without regret, and peace that guards your heart and mind. I am not calling you into suspicion. I am calling you into discernment. I am not calling you into hardness. I am calling you into holiness. I am not calling you to close your heart in pain. I am teaching you to keep your heart with all diligence, because out of it flow the issues of life. Proverbs 4:23. So let the agreement be settled. Let the false urgency lose its authority. Let the hidden pressure be denied access. Let the old confusion fall from your shoulders. Let your yes return to me, and let your no become holy, where I have shown you the boundary. Now, my beloved child, let this truth become prayer, and let your heart rest under my protection. Father, let this truth become sealed in the heart of your beloved child. Let every hidden source of disturbance be uncovered by your light, not with fear, not with confusion, not with shame, but with the holy clarity that rescues the soul from what it could not see. Expose what has been pressing in secret. Expose what has been speaking with counterfeit urgency. Expose what has been hiding behind obligation, attachment, fear, old wounds, and familiar patterns. Let nothing that has been quietly troubling their peace remain covered. Let your spirit move through the inner rooms of the heart and reveal what does not belong there. Silence every false pressure that has been trying to sound like authority. Silence the voice that says they must rush before they pray. Silence the accusation that says boundaries are cruelty. Silence the fear that says if they release what you have exposed, they will be alone, unprotected, or without direction. Let every counterfeit voice lose its strength in the presence of your truth. Let the anxious command be broken. Let the hidden demand be refused. Let the heart of your child be healed from the habit of obeying panic. And now, beloved, receive healing for the nervous place within you, the place that has been bracing, scanning, rehearsing, and trying to protect itself without rest. I speak peace over the place in you that has been startled too many times. I speak peace over the part of you that learned to expect disturbance. I speak peace over the memories that trained your body to tighten before your spirit could listen. Be still beneath my covering. You do not have to live in alarm. You do not have to confuse vigilance with wisdom. You do not have to stay tense in order to stay safe. I am your keeper. I am your shield. I am the one who neither slumbers nor sleeps. Father, give your child discernment that is gentle but firm. Give them eyes to see fruit clearly. Not only the first impression, not only the emotional pull, not only the promise that sounded beautiful for a moment, but the fruit that remains after time, prayer, and truth have tested it. Give them courage to honor the warnings you send, even when the warning interrupts desire, even when it disappoints expectation, even when it asks them to pause where they wanted to proceed. Give them wisdom to set boundaries without bitterness, to close doors without hatred, to say no without fear, to wait without panic, and to ask counsel of you before surrendering their peace again. Let humility rise in them, not the humility that makes them small before people, but the humility that knows they need your voice more than their own understanding. Let them no longer lean only on what they feel, what they fear, what they miss, or what they hope will change. Let them bring every decision, every relationship, every invitation, every attachment, every opportunity, and every pressure before you. As it is written, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. I declare protection over your mind, my beloved child. Let your thoughts be guarded from torment, obsession, confusion, and false responsibility. I declare protection over your relationships. Let what is sent by me be strengthened in purity. and let what is not aligned with my peace lose access to your inner life. I declare protection over your home. Let your atmosphere be cleansed from heaviness, strife, hidden agitation, and restless noise. I declare protection over your assignment. Let no distraction pull you down from the work I have placed in your hands. I declare protection over your sleep. Let your nights no longer be ruled by rehearsed fear, unfinished conversations, or anxious imagining. I declare protection over your prayer life. Let your communion with me become clear again, tender again, steady again. I declare protection over your inner atmosphere. Let peace stand at the gate. What I have exposed will not control you. What I have removed will not define you. What I am restoring will become stronger than what tried to disturb you. The pressure that once felt powerful will not sit on the throne of your heart. The confusion that once clouded your hearing will not become your identity. The interruption that felt painful will become part of your testimony, because you will look back and see that I was guarding you even when you did not understand the way I was leading you. So, go in peace, my beloved child, not because every question is answered, but because I am with you. Not because every situation is fully explained, but because my hand is guarding you. Not because every feeling has settled at once, but because my spirit is teaching you how to recognize my voice. Walk slowly where peace tells you to slow down. Stand firmly where wisdom tells you to stand. Release what truth has revealed. Guard what I have entrusted to you. Let your heart be tender, but let it be consecrated. Let your love remain alive, but let your gate remain watched. Let your steps be ordered by me. And if this prayer helped you recognize what has been interfering with your peace, stay under these messages and subscribe, so your heart can continue being strengthened in truth. Like this video as an act of agreement, not with a screen, but with the work I am doing in you. Share it with someone who needs protection and clarity, someone whose peace has been under pressure and whose heart needs permission to pause, pray, and discern. And write this in the comments as your agreement. My peace is guarded. If you need prayer for discernment, for boundaries, or for peace in a specific situation, leave your request below. Do not carry it alone. Let this community stand with you in prayer, with compassion, with wisdom, and with faith that I am still leading, still guarding, still exposing, still restoring. Go in peace now, because what I expose cannot rule you, and what I guard cannot be stolen from my hand.